Lightning like Steve McQueen. I'm in the fast lane when the light turns green. And I built tough, I ain't nothing but grit. Cause I made rugged blood, sweat, and spit. Yeah, like a horse I fly. Better push yourself in for a bumpy ride. I like to play hard, but I work harder. And I weather the storm cause I'm built stronger.
This episode is brought to you by SPI Logistics, the premier freight agent logistics firm in North America. For over 40 years, SPI has been diligently building the most successful freight agent network to provide first-class relationships for our shippers, receivers, and carrier partners. We are more than another transportation network. We are a dedicated team of professionals united by one singular purpose, and that is to expedite our agents' success. All of our agents are set up for success on day one, as they are provided with a full suite of support staff that is ready to assist them with everything from after-hours emergencies to financial and administrative needs on a no-fee basis. This way, you can focus on continuing to grow your business. There is no financial risk to start, and you have the ability to earn up to 75% in commissions. If you are looking to take control of your financial future and build your business with the backing of one of the most successful logistics firms in North America, visit www.spi3pl.com to learn more. Do me a favor and let them know that the Freight Coach sent you.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Podcast, the top podcast in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines. And I'm literally going to save the rest of the intro. You guys know what to do. We got an action-packed episode. I'm really excited about this guest today to come on and talk about his journey in the industry and building up his company and everything else. And, I'm just going to save it for the rest of it, you guys. I'm going to bring him up right now. Building a company is so much harder than you think. It is also so much more rewarding than you think. And there is just a different level of enthusiasm that you need to find in yourself to show up day in and day out through all the rejection, all the hardships and everything that come with it. And we're going to talk about a lot of that today. So I got my friend Alex Schick with Alliance Logistics on the show. Alex, thank you so much for joining me here today.
No problem, Chris. Pleasure to be here. Looking forward to it.
Dude, and like we were saying before we recorded, so Alex and I had met in person at DatCon in Kansas City it was October of last year. And it was, I've met a lot of people, as I was telling you, and I feel I have to say this on the air as well, man. Like, there are very few people that I talk to that I'm just like, they've been through it, right? Like they've been through the ringer, and it might even just be your willingness to talk about it, right? Because I think some people are kind of afraid to show that vulnerability of dude, this is literally the hardest shit I've ever done in my life. And you were open about it from the beginning of why you do what you guys do inside of your company. I mean, you guys have a very, I don't want to call it a niche only offering, but you guys know your identity and you're not afraid to go out there and do it. So it was just different, man. And I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah. So it is interesting. A lot of people don't really talk about the emotion of what it takes to be in logistics and transportation, and also what it takes to start a company and run a company. So I guess let's hit it off with that. I want to share a little short story. A little bit about my background. Got into transportation in 2007, tracking and tracing. Started at the very bottom at an agency when agencies were still in their infancy. Helped grow that company quite a bit. And in 2019, we had left the agency and started an agency of our own. Built that up, did well. In 2023, we decided, the agent model, we've outgrown it. We need to start a company ourselves. So we did. So everything was amicable. We did everything by the book. We had a couple customers that were going to transition over with us that we had fostered for a long time, or so we thought, that we're going to foster for a long time. And everything was all right, we're doing this. So we're in California. We're in Fresno, California, and we drive over to San Francisco to have lunch with a couple friends of ours, and we're sitting at lunch, and I get a phone call. I step away, and it's one of the customers, our largest customer, that's going to transition with us. And I walk away, and I was maybe 20 steps from the lunch table, and he says, "We're not going to be able to onboard you. We're not going to do it." And literally, my heart dropped. It was the most devastating thing that has happened in probably my life and business. Just that was the core of what we were going to be able to go with. We had already built a company. We had several employees, and all the thoughts were racing through my mind. I'm going to have to lay people off. We're going to have to start over for a fourth time. This is detrimental. And my wife was with me, my partner. Finished the phone call, keep a straight face, dude. I was just inside. I was bawling in tears. Like I was a wreck. Walked to the table, finished lunch, made it all great. None the wiser on the way home. It's a 3-hour drive. That was probably the longest 3-hour drive. But that right there was like, that's business. That's what people don't talk about. And that's what people don't see. Like, somebody is going through that right now in this world. Somebody is having their world turned upside down by somebody else's decision. Somebody is so passionate about the company that they're building, and just they're going through it. And we went through it. Fortunately, like I tell everybody, you don't fail until you give up. So we didn't give up. We continued to go. We continued to push. Several weeks later, we penned an agreement and ended up getting onboarded. Stroke of luck, right place, right time, right strings pulled. Call it what you want, but that's the grit of transportation. That's the grit of being an entrepreneur. That's the grit of nobody else taking ownership over that decision than the person at the top. Like, you've got to do it. You've got to keep a straight face while you do it, and you gotta get it done. It's tough. It's
Yeah,
tough.
dude, I mean, so I've had to rebuild a book of business like 3 times now at this point. And, this last time is when we decided to go out on our own. And, like, yeah, because we're an agent with SPI. And, they fortunately were like, took a chance on me, because I'm like, hey, I have some old shippers that I could call, but like, I don't have anything, right? Like, I have no revenue that I could bring you guys at all. And they were like, honestly, they were more excited because they're like, dude, you know how cool of content it's going to make if you succeed with this? And I'm like, yeah, but I'm like, we're all aware. And, going out there and building it up, because it's like, dude, the amount of energy and effort to get something off the ground. And, most people start a business with your like your scenario, right? Like, hey, we got some guarantees from some customers they're going to come with. And then, but you went through they didn't, not at least not right away. And, for us, it was like, we have been piecing together business throughout this journey, right? Like, we've just completed our second year in business. We really started in January of 2023. And, it's been a slow go from a customer acquisition standpoint, because again, like, I'm just another provider who's calling people right now. And, and it's not, and it is just keeping that same enthusiasm every single day, that, hey, it's going to work out. It's going to work out. It's going to work out. And dude, it's an emotional roller coaster. And, this is the second business that I've started from scratch, right? Where, same thing with the media stuff that I'm doing. And, the media stuff, I mean, dude, it took me probably 4 years of doing this show before I actually felt like I had a system down, right? And now we're at a point where it's like, finding guests is, I don't want to call it easy, but like, man, we have a system and a process down where, dude, we're already booked out through all of February at this point, so it's like, we're getting proactive about that. We have pre-episode, post-episode production. We have all of that stuff and it takes so much time, but people tune in now, and I'll just use this as an example, and they see the nice studio, they see all this stuff, but they didn't see when I was in my bedroom fucking freaking out because I had no money left over. I was burning through cash. It was in the middle of the pandemic, and and it was like, it was just the showing up aspect of it, right? Like, I didn't stop. I had bad moments and I had bad days, but I didn't let them turn into anything more than that. And that's like, dude, that's just it isn't talked about, because everybody wants this facade on the internet that they're the best freight broker, or they're the best sales rep, or they're the best this and the best that. Man, I like, anytime I see stuff like that, I just keep scrolling. Like, I'm like, dude, if you're not willing to talk about the real side of this shit, man, you're like, there's an underlying or an ulterior motive. You're trying to sell somebody something. You're hoping they click on your shit, because that's probably where you make your money, is through whatever you're trying to sell behind the scenes.
Right. Yeah, I think that's true. We've recently taken an approach of a lot of marketing and putting content out. We backed away from sales. We paid attention. Customers, they're tired of getting called right now. We've pumped the brakes on calling customers, and decided to shift a lot of focus into marketing. Let's just get our message out there. We're not trying to sell you anything. We just want you to know who we are, what we do, where we're at, and that we're here. And we're here for the longevity. I mean, I've been in this since 2007. I'm not going to stop. This has become my blood, sweat, and tears. Like the industry, I mean, it is what it is. It's caught me. I'm hooked. But yeah, we don't want to go out there and say we're the best. We do what we do. We do a really good job at what we do, and we're looking for the right partners. I think what you said is important. You have all these hurdles that nobody sees, and you alone are the one who kind of has to deal with them or provide the direction. It's really easy to get, down and in a rut and have somebody else lift you out. But when you're the founder, when you're the CEO, when you're the entrepreneurial mind, that falls on your shoulders. You team up with people and you get through it, but you're the one who wakes up every day, failure after failure, and say, I'm gonna not fail today. And then you probably will, but you're just gonna keep going and you do it the next day. People don't talk about that. People don't talk about the realities. I mean, people don't talk about almost going through bankruptcy, being on their last dollar, not being able to make payroll. Like, these are the things that businesses go through early on, and it's real, and it is what it is.
How important, you brought up not being able to make payroll and the finance side of things, because that's something that, I will tell people all the time. If you don't have the stomach for being on day 30 of your receivables being due, and then you don't have the money to pay your payables that are due the next day, just stay an employee, because it's not fun, right? Like, it's fucking like my gray hairs have exponentially increased over these about 5 years because of stuff like that. But again, like, how important is it to have a better financial understanding from a business perspective, or, like the importance of partnering with the right financial companies as you're going to build your business up or even start your business?
Yeah. So I see your denim sticker. We're huge fans of denim. I haven't talked to them about this. They don't know I'm here. Denim has become one of the strongest financial partners that we've ever experienced.
Dang.
Seriously, the way that they do things and the way that they lift responsibilities off for the payables specifically is crucial. So when we look at business, we've been doing this for a long time, and we really take a partnership approach. Like, our average carrier tenure, like 10 years. There's carriers that I've worked with for 17 years. There's kids that I've met as infants that are now graduating high school, of people that I've done business with. There's kids that we've put through college, lawyers, doctors, you name it. Like, there is a lot of history here. But the one thing that's always remained important is to make sure that your carriers get paid, and get paid when they're supposed to. Because if you lose that, like, you can have the best relationship and you can be the best person ever, but ultimately it is a business and you have to treat it like a business. You have to pay your carriers on time. Partnering with Denim has taken that kind of responsibility off of our shoulders, because we process it and they pay it, and they pay it on time regardless. Like, it's a done deal. So that's important. The other sides of finances, it's important to know, like, your projections and create like a sound budget. It's important to know what you can spend in certain categories and when you need to reel back, and then make the right choices around financial decisions. There's a lot of times where tech providers will call us and try and sell us on things, and I'll just tell them, look, I love your product, but now's not the right time. Like, you're on the list. When we get there and it's in our budget, we're coming for you. Like, you're not going to have to follow up for us. We want your product. And staying disciplined in that process. Like, people are going to bring things that bring you value all the time, but you have to stay, like, focused to your core and make sure that your financial decisions are aligning with your core decisions. Ours has always been taking care of our people, our employees, our carriers, our customers. So through 2024, it got real tight. It got real. It was a real struggle. We made decisions to cut into our margins, to give more money to our carriers, to make sure that they stayed in business, that they stayed sustainable. We didn't lay people off. We may have trimmed some hours, but we kept our whole team intact. We didn't let anybody go. Like, we made sacrifices as a company. It cost us some momentum in certain areas. It cost us personally in quite a bit of areas, but but those were the goals that we stayed and set out to from the beginning, and we aligned them financially. Is essentially what happens.
You brought up a lot there, and for me, I want to touch on the tech piece as well for a second there. And I try and I've done a couple of podcasts about this, of like showing people how like I use Google and an Excel spreadsheet to develop a lead list and stuff like that. And this is the point of what I'm saying here is it's like technology is great if you can afford it, right? If it's in your budget, you can afford it. Of course, use it, but like, for the majority of us out there, it's not needed. All right. It's more of a luxury than not. And if it's the true dollars and cents of business, like you got to do what you can afford. And this is this is like the real side of bootstrapping a business. It's not just like when I talk about this, or like post about it, you guys, it's not just me trying to get some fucking likes. I'm telling you guys what's going on inside of my company every single day, because like, I don't have investors, nor do I want investors. All right. Because I hate being told what to do. And that's for another show. But it's like, you don't need that to find shippers. Okay. And I go out there and we go through a lot of that stuff. But again, if you can afford it, run with it. And, the financial understanding. So like Sean with Denim, we do a monthly podcast with him and I we call it Financial Fridays, to raise the business financial acumen of all of the listeners out there, talking about, your business credit score, paying your carriers fast, quick pay, all of that stuff. We do that to again, just bring information out there to try and help you before you hit that roadblock or that fork in the road of like, damn, I owe a lot of money out here. What do I do in these situations? Or, hey, this tech product sounds really, really cool, but like you said, it's just not on our roadmap right now, right? Like there's a lot of stuff that's going to come at you all the time that sounds really, really good. And you think, hey, this would be awesome to have. And it might be awesome to have in the moment, but can you afford it? And most people, more times than not, it might not even be an affording thing. Do you actually need it for where your business is?
Yeah, so that's an interesting one. When we look at tech, all of our business, or the majority of our business, is short haul, hyper low margin, turn them, grind, like it just this dense freight. And we have a ton of touches on a ton of freight that makes very little money. And as we've started to approach tech, a lot of the conversations have been, your tech is not cheaper than a person. Like, I love your tech. I want to employ your tech because it will help us scale, but it costs us more to use it. And a lot of tech companies they get mad at me. They really do. I can tell. It's okay. I understand. I would be mad too if somebody told me that. But it boils down to, it has to fit your business model, right? Like if you're doing long haul business and you have high margins, you can bake those prices into it. But if you're running on, $5, $10, $7 margins, a dollar a load will put you out of business.
Yes.
If you're paying $1 a load for 3 different services, dude, that's 30% of your margin. You're done. Like, you can't afford it. So when you look at tech, it one has to be affordable. It two has to provide value and save money. And it three, it needs to fit your business model, right? Like, it needs to fit what your core competency is. And I think that goes back to one thing that you and I have talked about, being super focused on what you do as your core competency. Like, I used to think that we're a broker and we can move anything, and we have moved almost everything. But what we're good at and what our niche at is what we've been focused on recently. And so when we look at things and we look at our roadmap, it's all based on what we're going to focus on. Like your flatbed open deck, I think I emailed you a few days ago about it. Yeah. I'm like, dude, just help me take it over. I don't even want to deal with it. Like, I want to do what we want to do. You can have it. And so, like, having that mentality and knowing what you're going after will help you make better decisions with your tech and better financial decisions as well. Like having an aligned mission statement or a mission goal for the company. Veering off and saying we're a broker and we're going to do everything is dangerous. That can get you in trouble.
How I'm trying to think of the best way to word this, but like, how unnecessary is it for most brokers to offer everything? Like, how much would you advocate to have that niche? Because again, like I look at it like this: like full truckload, open deck, that's our jam. We'll touch some dry van freight, but like I'm not going after food, reefer. I'm not going after LTL, air, parcel, any of that stuff. Full truckload is my jam, and that's really where we like to play. How do you guys navigate through that, like that mindset of like, hey, you know what, this is our niche, we're going to stick with it, there's more opportunity out there than you think?
Yeah. So as the market became kind of hyperinflated with brokers, right? And the brokers that are succeeding and are being successful have found a niche. I guarantee you there is something they are very good at, and there is a core customers that align with what they are very good at, and that is what is making them successful. And then there's the companies that are really struggling, and they're the ones just trying to sell to anybody and move any piece of freight to make a dollar. If you want to grow and you want to scale and you want to be successful for the longevity, you have to identify what you want to be good at, get really good at it, and execute on it, and execute on that with your sole focus. You'll always have your biggest customers or the people that you have a lot of loyalty to ask you to do some oddball shit, and you help them. You get it done because that's the relationship side of things. You have to build and continue to build that relationship with them. So you do it, right? It's not in your wheelhouse, but you get it done. But that should not be your focus. You should not be calling every customer and saying, hey, I moved a Maruca from Texas to California last week. I could move your Marucas too,
Yeah.
No, that's not what you do. That's not what we're going to do. We're going to say, hey, we do local short haul, hyper dense, hyper efficient, low margin freight. What do you got? Let's talk. Let's build a dedicated model. Let's build something that performs well. Let's continue to grow. And for us, it's interesting because we're brokerage first. Our core competency is brokerage. We started buying assets in 2023. We kind of do backwards than everybody. Everybody has an asset company and backs it up with brokerage. We do the opposite. We have the brokerage and back it up with the assets, or we build the assets to align with where our best strategies are with the brokerage. We go to customers and we build dedicated fleets for them. We build dedicated asset operations for them because that's what we've always done. We continue to stay focused on what we've always been focused on. Our core competency is brokerage. We're just brokering to our own assets at that point. So it is important. It's really important to focus and hone in on what you want to do and not just go willy-nilly and take and go after whatever you want. And I think too, I think customers in general will really, 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 really appreciate that, because in my opinion, the sales cycle is kind of broken right now, and they have a bunch of Joes who does it all, reaching out to them all the time. And when the carrier like you or I that's focused on doing what they want and need calls them, they're so sick of hearing from people, they don't want to give us the time of day. Right? So if everybody just kind of stepped back and chose something to focus on, I think it would help everybody all around. Everybody would be more successful. Customers would be happier because the cold calls are going to die down. People are going to be calling them with things that they're actually interested in or things that they're actually needing help with. And I think it benefits everybody, not just the people who are honing in on it.
Yeah, a good friend of mine who's a shipper for a very large company just actually put a post out there the other day talking about just this and how they went through all the outreach and everything else. And he put the really good outreach that he received and the really bad outreach that he received. And, there's kind of a mix in there. And I'm not going to say his name because I don't want people to go in and just blow up this guy's DMs. But, to put some, to put some numbers behind it, I know some people who own freight brokerages, and then, some of them own brokerages with assets as well, but they're pushing like 80 to 100 million a year in revenue, and they do one thing, like, and that's it. Right. So it's like, I don't understand why so many people are out there chirping, saying that you need to do all of this stuff. And I mean, I know another guy, same thing. He only does one mode as well. And I don't know what his numbers are, but I know that he has grown exponentially. He has a very large operation and they offer one thing. And it's like, it's funny because it's like, I see two different camps out there where it's like the ones who are like, oh, we do everything, we'll do everything. But it's just like, well, how much are you constantly churning? And, and again, I look at it from like a growth standpoint, a training, development, and everything else. I want my team doing flatbeds, open deck, tarp, no tarp only, not flatbed with tarp, frozen chicken, and then fucking overdimensional RGN on the next. I don't want them doing that. I feel like that's counterproductive at that point from a training standpoint, but also from a vision casting standpoint here, right? Like, how much more clearer of a vision is it of like, hey, we are the top open deck provider in the United States of America. This is all we do, and we are doing it better than everybody else, as opposed to we'll move everything, do everything, go after everything. And I think it's just that spray and pray model that's out there. And again, and like, don't take my word for it. I'm just a little podcaster here on the internet. Go listen to the Founders podcast and listen to some of the titans of industry in the United States of America and listen to what all they say. They do billions, you guys, not just a little podcast. They do billions of dollars a year, and listen to their journeys if you don't believe what I'm saying here. And I feel like so many people get so intoxicated by potential opportunity that they lose sight of the target.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It sucks where we're at in the industry. It's been a hard few years, but we just got to keep going.
Yeah,
that's it. I think if you want to diversify and do everything, you do it one at a time, and you do it under separate entities, and you stay and remain focused on each individual thing separately. So let's say, if you wanted to be a venture out, you have your core competency, your flat, step deck, open deck, tarps, right? And then you say, okay, well, we're doing really good on this. What's the next step? Well, okay, we're going to get into reefer produce, right? You open up almost a second organization or a sister company, and you hire a new team for that company, and you hire experts in that company, and you build that company laterally to the open stack with two different mission statements, right? Because I do think it's important. I mean, some wise people have told me you can't build multiple things at once well. One will thrive, one will suffer. You have to stay focused. And I learned that the hard way, being arrogant and young. It wasn't that long ago. I started a gardening company in 2017, and I tried to run and make that thrive alongside running and making a brokerage thrive. And dude, people are right when they tell you have to focus. I've went through it. I've been humbled by it. You have to focus. You have to have your focal point and stick to it, and venture out once that one thing is at a point where you say, okay, I can let off the gas here and focus on something else and give something else my whole attention.
Yeah. As somebody who goes through that every single day, like, I wouldn't be able to do the podcast and the brokerage at the level that I do if I didn't have my business partner to monitor emails and watch everything behind the scenes for these 30 minutes. Just like I wouldn't be able to do the brokerage and get the content out if I didn't have my marketing, Christian, who's behind the scenes, who's editing, distributing, doing all of that work now. It took a while to get there. But it is very right. Like it is getting pulled in different directions. And I feel overwhelmed at times, and shit, man, that's like one of my biggest things that I'll go through out there, Alex, is I'm like, fuck, am I spinning my wheels too much? But I'm like, I also have to pay my bills, and I love doing both. And, and I'm never going to stop podcasting no matter what. Like, my goal is I'm just going to build up teams of people, and I'm just going to show up, do my thing, and then go, and then just stay on my routine. I guess I'm still arrogant enough to know that I'm going to do it. So,
hey, you know what? You paint your own path, you make your own destiny, and you create your own fate. So if you keep saying you're going to do it, you'll get it.
It's going to happen, man. And so, dude, as we're kind of wrapping up, I want to ask you one final question here. So I don't pay attention to the freight market. Like, I pay attention to the data and stuff that's out there, but I think a lot of what's out there is irrelevant to where my business is, right? Like, I can't accept what I hear out there of like, oh, it's slow, it's this and that. I have to curate and cultivate my own opportunities. How important is it for you do you know, at least for others to be like, hey, stop paying attention to all the noise, focus on where you are in your business, and how do you get to that next level?
That's a tough one and a long one. We only have a little bit of time. Okay, so one of the biggest things that I've always done is only pay attention to our failing competitors, or don't pay attention to our direct competitors at all. What this does is it allows you to kind of identify your needs for what you are doing currently. Like, I don't care what CH is doing. I don't care what Flexport is developing. I don't care, right? Like, I'm going out there and I'm saying, this is what we're going to do. These are the problems that I see in our organization today. This is what our customers want, and that's what matters, right? That's it. So we focus in, we don't pay attention to our competitors unless they're failing. Because if they're failing, there's a lesson to be learned from it. We need to pay attention to them. We need to find out what they did wrong so we don't make the same mistakes. You learn more from failing companies than anything else. You'll never see what makes a successful company successful from the outside looking in, but you can pick apart a failing company and understand where the mistakes were made and learn from that. So that's important. As far as the market conditions, you have to kind of keep your finger a little bit on the pulse. The data is great, and the data can give you a high level view. But when I want to know what the market's doing, I pick up the phone when people are calling in on load postings, and I listen to how these drivers are responding, and I listen to the tone of their voice and how eager they are to negotiate with you or how not eager they are. Like, I want to get a before data can analyze it, read on drivers' mentality and drivers' behavior so that we can adjust accordingly to react to those super, super, super intricate market changes. And that's a lot regional based or even city based. Like, that's honing in very, very, very granular. But you have to understand those when you're hyper focused. The data's there. The data's great. A lot of people have a really good platform for data. We use it to gauge markets and market trends, but the breadth of it comes from the conversations, getting on the phone with somebody and having a real conversation. I hope that answers your question.
No, dude, that did. That answered it perfectly in my opinion, you know, and it was also kind of elaborated a little bit more on how I think as well. It's just more of like, there's a lot of stuff that's coming at you every single day in every single direction. And, you know, where my business is, we're in business development mode only. That's what we're doing. I'm not paying attention to anything else out there. We have our goals. We have our metrics, our daily metrics that we're going to hit to get there. And it's a straight, you know, it's black or white. It's pass, fail, and that's it. And that's just the direction that we're going to run with it. But dude, Alex, I'm going to have you back on, man. I feel like we could go for like 2.5 more hours minimum about all of this stuff. But how does anybody reach out to you to find out more about what you guys got going on?
They could shoot me an email or give me a call. I could throw it in the LinkedIn link. Email is Schick, SCHICK @alliancelogistics.com with an X. Shoot me an email. I'll respond. I always respond. Call me. I'm not afraid to have a conversation with people. Pick up the phone. I think that's really important is real conversations like this. You can have interactions through emails all day long, but yeah, shoot me an email and expect a phone call. That's the best way. I'll share contact info on the podcast comments.
Perfect. I was say, yeah, don't put it out there right now, man. You're going to get spammed. But anyways, man, Alex, I appreciate it. Thank you guys all so much for joining me here today. I know you guys got value out of this one. And if you did, subscribe to the show. If you're feeling really ambitious and fired up like I am right now, rank the show as well on iTunes and Spotify, you guys, because that's how we reach more people. And if you see value, your network's going to see value as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. And we'll be talking to you soon.